Okay, and we are live.
Hello.
Welcome to the Sisterhood of Mummy Imperfect. Hello, welcome to the Sisterhood of Mummy Imperfect. This is the weekly podcast where I celebrate women and explore what it means to be a woman. And in case you don't know already, I'm Mummy Imperfect, aka Rena. And joining me today are my friends Rummy and Kirat. Yes, it is another power panel episode. So that means that it's that time of the month where the three of us take a look at female focused news stories and entertainment stories and trends from the last few weeks. And we're live on YouTube at the moment, as well as this being recorded as an audio podcast episode. So if you are watching, if you do tune in at any point, then feel free to drop us a comment and we can interact with you. If not, drop us a comment anyway, wherever you're kind of consuming this podcast, because we always do love to hear from you. So here is what we're going to be talking about over the next hour, covering up on public transport. Why is it that some women are choosing to wear subway shirts over their cute outfits on their commute? We're going to be talking about whether cheating is a relationship deal breaker. You might think, duh, obviously, but is it sometimes better to turn a blind eye to infidelity? And we're going to be talking about, with the rise of non-Asian celebrities wearing saris at high profile events, is it time that we ask ourselves why we think twice about wearing clothes from our heritage at maybe, non-Asian events or Asian events? Should we think more sorry, not sorry? Just had to get that in. Hi, girls.
Hi. Corny.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I'm not even sorry. Haha. So let's get straight into it then. Right, as the weather is getting warmer, there's been a few videos on TikTok, quite a lot, basically trending, women filming themselves wearing oversized shirts on public transport, and they call it their subway shirt. It's basically like, this like a baggy t-shirt or baggy shirt over like a cute or sometimes revealing outfit, so that they can be more covered up on their commute. And the reason they're doing this is to avoid men staring at them in a creepy way. And then when they get to their destination, they take off the baggy oversized shirt to reveal the sexy outfit underneath. So, like, how do you feel about the fact that women are doing this in this day and age?
Um, I think, like with me, I generally wear what I want, but anything that might feel sexual, that it might be. So I like, I wear vests, I'll wear whatever, I'll wear shorts, as what I've said before on this podcast, but I don't have any issues doing that. But as long as it's not with a view to being like, sexy or anything like that. But say I'm going somewhere, I've been in the situation where like I'm going on the tube somewhere and I've got a very specific one time that rings like, because I don't wear short dresses very often. And I remember one of the first times on one of the nights out, it was someone's birthday and it was a kind of a nice event. And I wore it was like a, strapless dress, but it was shorter than I'd usually wear. And usually when these crowds see me, they usually see me in jeans and vest, which is my standard. And I remember going out and it was like legs. Oh my God, she's got her legs out. Oh my God, she's got her legs out. That I don't mind amongst friends. But for me, getting on the tube in that outfit was like a no-no. And I remember phoning the person that I was going with, going, do you have a spare? Like, because it was summer, it was like warm. So I should have been able to go out like that.
Yeah.
But I was going, I need just something to wear over this that's appropriate for me to wear. Like, that I can take off like a little like Mac or something just for that journey. So that was an issue for me. But had I been wearing a strapless, like casual something with some shorts or some jeans, I probably wouldn't have batted an eyelid. Yeah, but it's when you're for me, it's when I'm making an effort and it's supposed to look sensual. Am I supposed to look, when you want to feel sexy, but if you're doing it for yourself, but you don't want other people to sexualize you necessarily.
So you do change the way that you dress then to feel more comfortable?
Yeah, and I think there's also like hereditary wise in our sort of culture, like that thing about being modest in certain places. So you can be less modest with people you're comfortable with, but more modest people you're uncomfortable with. But for me, it's just like, yeah, there's bits of me that I'm uncomfortable with. Having my legs out in a short dress, shorts is different, but in a short dress in public, is like, when it's supposed to look nice and pretty, is something I find difficult to do. And I don't know if you remember at uni, I didn't wear straps until my second year. I'd wear sleeveless all the time, but I only wore thick straps first in the second year of uni, and then slowly started wearing the spaghetti straps. It was like it just wasn't comfortable for me.
Rummy, what about you? Do you change the way that you dress to feel more comfortable in terms of like you don't want people looking at you in a creepy way, basically? Oh no, Rummy, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay. I think Rummy has to
Oh,
plug her mic in or something like that. Can you, I think we're gonna be able to hear her in a minute. Do you know what? I feel like it's quite sad that women have to do this. And
yeah.
like it's obviously not the first time that women have shared how they what they do to feel safe from men, basically. Now, I'm not here to bash men, right? But it is basically they're not doing it to cover up from other women, are they? They're doing
What
it
do you mean?
as in like these women, the young women who are like, I wear a shirt on to put over my little boob tube or whatever when I get onto public transport so that men don't look at me in a creepy way. They're doing it. That's why they're doing it. So men don't look at them in a creepy way, which is
Yeah,
extremely sad.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't do it for that. I think for me, it's my own discomfort, and it's not necessarily from men as well. I think it's from women too.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I think I've been hit on by a woman. Like I was like constantly want. So I am conscious of that, and and that when a woman wouldn't take no for an answer, and I found that
Really?
very I found that more
That's uncomfortable as well, yeah.
I found that more uncomfortable because with a man you say no and people around you understand. When you're saying no to a woman like that, it's quite awkward. But it's not, and it's not just that. There's a lot of judgment depending on where you're. Like I go out in Hounslow. Like I live in West London, Hounslow, and then you got Southall where I go to shop sometimes. I can't go to Southall in a vest and shorts. I mean, I have done it
Did you
for my
regret it?
sins. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
every single time you regret it. I go to the radio station and come back, and if it's summer, I'll go in my shorts and vest. But leaving the radio station, I remember once I was like, I had to fill my radiator. When I had an issue with my car, and I had to fill my radiator with water, and I was like, oh my god. In Southall, I had to open the car bonnet, and I'm wearing shorts and a vest, and I was like,
You
great.
said yeah.
It's like it's the last thing you need, but just like kind of blind eye and just carry on. But a lot of it, I think sometimes the best thing to do is just not look up to see who's looking at you.
Yeah, because then you don't know what eyes are on you. I
Yeah.
feel like you can feel it though. Rummy, can you say something? No, I
No.
can't I still can't hear you. Maybe you're gonna have to I don't understand what that is. Why don't you
Plug
just
it
take your
out.
headphones off? Take
Yeah.
your headphones off, take them out, and then make sure your mic is on. Is your mic on? You're not muted from here. Sorry, everybody. Uh, I can't hear you, no.
Check your
Maybe
computer audio.
come out and then come back on. Check your computer audio and make sure that your mic is on. I'm so sorry, but Romy was talking, and I think she has got something to
She
say.
got something to say,
100%. She
definitely.
definitely has something to say. So she's gonna come back so it's that we can hear what she has to say. Do you know what? I will just say though that like this whole thing of like women have to dress a certain way so that so men don't look at them, as you said, even women can look at you in that way when you don't want them to. um
But don't
but
you not think there's a flip side? Some women enjoy being looked at like that. They'll go out there, wear those clothes for the attention,
yeah,
enjoy it.
yes.
And there's the other coins only have two sides, but I was going to say there's the other flip side, which is women gawking at men.
Okay, right. I think that there's the serious issue that we have to we cannot ignore. And I'm just going to check if Rummy, say something.
Hi. Hi.
Oh
Hello.
no, it's nice to hear your voice.
Okay,
Right,
sorry.
I really want to hear what you had to say, but I was just in the mid sentence that the serious issue that we can't ignore is the fact that women, there are still safety
I'm
issues,
just
things like women walking home at
safety
night,
issues.
and all these very serious issues, and we've discussed it before in here. Walking home, getting home alive.
Yeah, I'm
is,
not taking
is an
away from
issue.
that. I'm just saying, but men these days have that same issue. Like
No,
gay men have that issue. There's lots of things around it. But I know we have been in positions where we've put men in uncomfortable positions where they don't want to come out, or they don't want to be seen, or they don't want to walk around us because we think they're whatever, a group of girls. Yeah, men sometimes feel the same too. And I know it's not a safety issue there, but what I'm saying is how it makes somebody feel. It's how you make someone feel, isn't it?
yeah,
It's our
yeah,
actions making somebody feel something, which sometimes isn't nice.
it's true. Rummy, what were you going to say?
Oh my God. So I was just right at the beginning, just saying that I've never had to do that myself, mainly because I live in jeans.
It's fine, isn't it?
Really, yeah. And, but no, I mean, on holiday, I don't think I've ever had to do that, where I probably would wear, shorter dresses, skirts and skimpy tops or whatever. But I think it's sad, isn't it, that anyone should do what they feel comfortable with, right? We all wear trainers on the tube instead of high heels, right? It's down to comfort. But if it's because, they feel like they're going to get the wrong type of attention and they've had experience of this, then fine, comfort comes above everything else. It's a shame that women have to do that, and it's the women's behavior, or, it's that person's. I'm not just saying this only happens to women, just echoing your point there. That happens to a lot of people. It's a shame that they have to change their behavior rather than, the sort of the people who are staring
100%.
or the perpetrators. But that's hopefully that will change. But it was changed slowly. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's 2023, and
yeah, you think it should have changed by now, right?
You'd think so, but I think I mean, I saw that TikTok video. And I just looked at the comments, and I just found just overwhelmingly a lot of the comments just saying, well, don't dress like that then. If you don't, you know what I mean? Like, which is so not the thing to say, right? Well, if you don't want, are you, it's a bit like Emily Atack's show, right? Asking for it, which is like, okay, so I'm the one in the wrong here, instead of you changing your thinking and all this kind of just overwhelmingly, just people are like, why are you dressed like that then, if you don't want the attention? And what about the attention that you're going to get when you're there, wherever she's revealing her, right? It's a public place. It could still be a public place. So those people who might be leering at you on the subway are everywhere, right? They're going to be in that cafe, they're going to be in that nightclub, they're going to be everywhere. But yeah, I just found it really interesting. Interesting.
It's like wearing clothes appropriate for where you are, and that's sometimes for me it's just the journey, right? You're going to your like you're saying, you go to a destination. It's all right for you to wear that in a club, but it might not be okay for the tube or the bus. It's that kind of thing. And I think now, when you said that, the first thing I think about now, like Uber is more readily available. If I feel uncomfortable and I don't want to take a coat, I'll jump in an Uber.
Some people even have Uber outfits. Like they will even put that
I know some people have that, but I feel more comfortable doing that than jumping on the tube if I'm feeling that way.
Yeah, and it depends like where you are as well. Like you said, you wouldn't walk down, South or Broadway in a vest and shorts. I wouldn't do that either. I would never get on a Delhi metro showing anything other than my arms and my ankles. I wouldn't do that, right? I know, because people stare at you when you are fully clothed, right? And so I would never do that. And most people, like even, in Delhi, the people that will go out and wear like hot pants and things like that, they'll be driven around by their drivers. So they're not getting the metros either. Do you know what I mean? In that way, I think it's actually a very good idea to have subway shirts or these huge, like a overcoat type thing to actually cover yourself up on the tube. I think it's a good idea. And I was actually talking about it, like obviously people who will know that I have 3 daughters, and I was talking about it to my 14-year-old this morning about this thing. And then she's like, oh, it's really horrible, isn't it, that that girls have to do that we have to cover up because people are going to look at us like this. And I was like, yes, it is. But then like you can think of it in a way where it's like, well, you know what, we're just going to wear what we want, and you have to adjust your behavior. Why are we adjusting our behavior? We will wear what I want. It's our bodies. It's our choice. Adjust your behavior. But you know what? I can't take the risk with myself even, and I'm not taking the risk with my kids, because my girls won't be the guinea pigs out there going, they're going to wear what they want. you need to stop looking at them. It's your problem. No, you need to, but my kids ain't going to be the guinea pigs to put them out there to see who's looking and who's not.
Who's going to looking and who's not.
Who
Yeah,
have these Subway shirts, mate.
There'd have to be a bit more of a societal shift and change for us to sort of do that, right? Be comfortable in that. At the moment, I agree with you, Rena. I'm there. Yes, I totally agree that it's, you know, it's not about what I'm wearing, it's about your behavior, but I'm not going to take the chance.
You have to still look after ourselves, right? So it's that whole thing. I mean, I had that thing once where, and we were talking about this just a couple of weeks ago because we were remembering it because at the time it was hilarious, but it was totally humiliating for me, where it was a fancy dress event and I borrowed and I was working and somebody said, and I thought, I'm not going to go, I just wear something nice. I haven't got anything. And it was like, oh, it's fine. Somebody said, oh, I've got something for you. And it was somebody much older than me. And she said, I'll just bring it here, bring this jewelry to match it. And you can go as Princess Jasmine. You've got the hair, you've probably got some blue jewelry. And I was like, okay, cool. And I got given something and I was driving a million miles away to this fancy dress event, drove up, staying in a hotel. And I put it on and it was non-existent.
Oh,
okay.
And I'd gone in joggers. I'd driven up comfortably in joggers and a vest. I couldn't even wait.
She's just wearing a bra and
but I thought this woman, being an older woman who just worn this outfit, like at near Christmas or something, and this was like March. She was going to let me.
Hilarious.
I thought I'd be okay. And I mean, I think I've had it up as a profile picture on Facebook, but just this much of me. Wearing parts of other people's costumes that I nabbed on the night, but I've never posted the whole picture up. But I was like, I don't have anything. Like I can't. I've brought joggers up. I can't even wear joggers to this place because I literally was there. And I remember having to phone with my friends and said, I'm not even taking a cab. And I had to and I remember he came to my hotel door, escorted me through the hotel where there was a wedding reception going on downstairs, and he thought it was funny. He kept saying, she looks good, doesn't she? She looks good, doesn't she? As he walked through the hotel. I was just like this. And I went straight into the event, and I went into the back room because obviously I was working at the event as well. So it wasn't like I could hide in a corner, and I had a massive glass of wine because I was just like, before I went out and said hello to it, because I was just like, what the hell am I was like all day, I was like all evening, I was just like, what do I do? But that was even in a crowd of people that I knew. And by the end of the night, I was just like, there's like 6 of us left after the event finished. I was just sitting there just like, what the hell? It's just like, but yeah, that I didn't even feel comfortable taking a cab or anything. And I was very conscious to the point where I had to make myself oblivious to the feel, you had to put yourself in a position where you're not paying attention to anybody around you. And that was probably one of the most uncomfortable nights of my life that I've ever had.
Yeah, I could see, I mean, it's funny, but I could see how it would be.
It was really awkward for me. But then, the few people who knew that I was feeling like that, because know that I would never, ever turn up wearing something like that ever in my life.
Yeah.
That I was like, they looked after me. They kind of, watched out for me on the night.
You know something? Part of this whole thing is it's good women are looking out for each other in terms of
they were men.
Men and women, and at your event, right? People were looking after you. Okay, she's feeling uncomfortable, fine. And even with sharing things on social media about staying safe, that is a kind of way of we're looking out for each other. This is what I do to stay safe, right? Fine. But also it's I don't want to kind of make it, I don't know what I'm trying to say, that it should never be the kind of thing where you look at a woman who didn't cover up and say, well, why didn't you wear a Subway shirt? Why didn't you wear something baggy over yourself? That's why you got ogled. That's why you got attacked. Why didn't you do it? Because I remember a time when I was getting ready to go out at a friend's house, and I was about 20, 21 years old, right? And my friend's sister, who was about 25, she put on this top. I think it was low cut or something like that. And because we were just trying things on to go out, and weren't even going on public transport or anything. And the friend she went, oh, don't wear that. Look how tight it is on your boobs. You'll get attacked, like that. And it just rolled off the tongue. Don't wear that. You'll get attacked. at 20 years old. You know what I mean? And it's not changed since that was, I'm 44 years old. It was a long time ago, and it's still this kind of thing. It's literally the same thing. Wear this because there's less chances of you getting attacked. It just rolls off the tongue. It's something which is like, not that it's going to be your fault if you get attacked, because it's never anybody's fault, right? Fully clothed people have got attacked before, but it's just like the fact that this is a thing that we have to deal with. Like,
it's normalized that's how we think. That's how we think we need to. I mean, that's why I don't wear clothes that I feel sexualized in out and about every day. But I don't have an issue, like I said, wearing casual clothes which are like, like this. I wouldn't go out like this. I don't have an issue, but or wearing shorts, anything like that. But I think like and I mentioned it earlier when Rummy, when we couldn't hear you, but the cultural thing in our society about modesty and as well, for me, plays a huge aspect in covering up, wearing the right thing in the right place. Always, that to me, like, still, I don't care if I sound old fashioned or things like that. Wearing the right thing in the right place is important. You wouldn't go to church wearing XYZ. You wouldn't go to a certain place wearing this. You're going to, it's not okay to say, I can wear what I want, wherever I want, whenever. I said, there's rules sometimes. I feel like if we don't have those rules, we risk, you risk like a free-for-all for everybody, and all we're doing is attacking and saying all this stuff all the time, and we shirk ourselves of all responsibility.
I personally, I think it comes down to whether you yourself, you will feel the vibes, you will feel uncomfortable in certain things. And I realized that myself, exactly what you're saying is, when I was in Egypt on my honeymoon and I was in Sharm el Sheikh, and I was literally practically like half naked, as everybody was on the resort. On the resort, you're half naked. We decided to walk down the street. I don't know where we were going. I was wearing a little tight t-shirt and hot pants. I felt so uncomfortable. As soon as we walked down the street from the resort, I thought, nah, you know what? I should not have worn this. Should have worn some big kaftan thing over the top of it and stuff. I didn't feel good at all. There were men, in their traditional dress, which was basically like, the long gowns. So the men are covered up themselves, like, because that's traditional. I just felt very out of place. I didn't feel comfortable. So I totally
adjusted yourself.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just conscious of the time, so I'm going to move on to our second topic now, and this one is about relationships and cheating. And I was basically reading a newspaper article the other day where a former escort called Samantha X, she shared some awkward conversations that she had with clients' wives, and why they shouldn't necessarily leave their cheating husbands. And it just made me think about things like, are there times when it's like we can actually turn a blind eye to infidelity? Because everyone seems to think, yeah, it's definitely a deal breaker. What do you guys think? It's a really difficult one, or is it not?
No, I mean, like, even the words you're saying, turning a blind eye to infidelity, I mean, just letting that sink in, it just doesn't really make sense to me. It's just, I mean, there's so much context, and oh my God, I just found this article so like, oh my God. Well, thank you, Samantha, for letting us know. I found it really annoying. I was really annoyed with her, because I was just thinking, you don't know women, I mean, I don't know. I just felt.
Did you feel like using lots of swear words when you read it? Like,
I really did, because I just thought, she's just saying, it's okay, Bennett, just, yeah, it's not all about you. It could just be that he's a little bit bored, or it could just be, I just felt like it was, I don't know. It really annoyed me. But obviously, turning a blind eye to infidelity, me personally, no. I think it says a lot about your relationship and the state that it's in. And I think the only one thing I probably agreed with it was that in some cases, it's a wake-up call, right? That you could be blindly going on and carrying on in your relationship thinking, la-di-da, yeah, things are great. But actually, if the other person, and it doesn't always have to be the husband, the woman has sort of, whatever out, emotional support, or, physical, whatever outside, it means there's something missing in your own relationship. And you can look at that. And if you can sort of forgive the infidelity, whatever, and then move on, then that's great for you personally. But I don't know if I could. It would take a lot of work. And I think she just, I don't know, I feel like she just poo-pooed the whole thing, like it isn't such a serious situation. But it is, right?
It is.
It is. I mean, that I just started thinking about this and thinking, I'm going to talk about this with you because I read that, right? But she's going to say that because she's been paid thousands of pounds as an escort. That was her actual job, right? For her aside, right? And her rules of why women shouldn't necessarily leave their cheating husbands. I'm going to say what they are actually, because they might, it's not just about this woman, but I'm just going to say what they are, just so that we kind of think, okay, this may be true in some cases. So she thinks you shouldn't necessarily leave your cheating husband if you find out they're cheating, because number one, they may have made a stupid mistake, drunk or whatever. 2, they don't want an affair, they just wanted a bit of escapism. 3, it's purely transactional. And sometimes, relationships improve after someone has been caught cheating. This is this particular person's rules, right? I will just say, I do know people who are still together. They're going strong after one of them was caught cheating in some way. And you're nodding your heads. Do you also know people like this?
Lots.
I actually don't. Yeah, I don't.
See, this is the thing, and this is why I think, because we necessarily think that's it, cheating. No, and I've always said, I've said to my husband, I made it clear, if I ever found out you cheated, you wouldn't even see me, mate. You would see dust, because I would be gone like this. You would see my dust. I won't be here. Goodbye, good night. It's over, right?
Or else you'd be gone. You mean? You'd be gone.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be gone because I'd kill you.
Exactly. Well, no, I wouldn't,
No.
I wouldn't even waste my time. So, but that and between us and obviously the listeners,
Everyone.
now at this age and having had 3 children and invested over 20 years into this relationship and marriage, there's a part of me that actually thinks, would I be gone like this? Would he just see dust? Would I be gone in a flash and be very quick to end it over that? Or is there a way back from this? Not that, oh yeah, blind eye, because I'm not one of them. But and I don't tell my husband this part of it, and I don't think he listens to this podcast, so this is cool. Just don't tell him, anybody. But maybe there is a way back, and like me and you, Kirat, we do know people who found a way back. But then, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I've been in a relationship where I was cheated on many times, and I've taken person back. But I think, that cultural upbringing, I had a very traditional cultural upbringing where men do that. And for the respect for the family and everybody, you keep your mouth shut and you carry on. And that was what we were taught. And in some, how do I say this without upsetting a lot of people? I know of situations in certain parts of our society or social circle where men have been told, don't worry, you get married, just get married to whoever fits like the right thing. But don't worry, we'll make sure you get your fun. And this is being passed on from elders to like generations, the men below. I know, exactly. So, in that kind of stuff, like that kind of thing, this is where like women go off to their kitty parties, have a nice time, and men do their thing over there. And that blind eye gets turned because the women's every other need is looked after. They have a respectable place in society. They have children. They have this. They have everything. But the men get to have their fun, and the women can't complain because they've been given everything.
Right?
I'm
sure that happens. I'm sure.
So, of course, it happens. And but for me, like once upon a time, I was told that, and I like as much as it hurt me, as much as it upset me or whatever, like I kind of let it go. You don't forget it, but you let it go and you deal with it and you're just like whatever. And then but now, like, and even in what happened to me, the whole Sweet Bobby saga, when the pain of being cheated on, the thought of being cheated on, like I would not ever. And I realized that then, because that's when I started going insane. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. The things that for me, especially when you've invested in somebody. So I feel totally the opposite of you, Rena. when you've invested in somebody and you've done this, you've sacrificed this, you've done that, all those things that you've shared and done with somebody, and then suddenly you realize this guy's going and doing that with somebody else. He's having a nice time with somebody else. What about that? He lied to me that moment. He lied to me. And I start breaking everything down. So in that moment, he was okay to lie to me. I asked him this question. So at that time, he was doing, what about that money? I told him I needed money. But he spent that money on somebody else. All that kind of stuff.
You can go mad.
Yeah, but I was going mad, right? I was constantly thinking, how, when, how, what? I just could not do it. He can get lost. I do not need that, my peace of mind broken. I'd rather you be out there. I don't care what anyone says to me. Are you living with the man? Are you feeling the way you do? If you're okay with your man cheating on you, it's okay, but I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I'm with you. I couldn't do it. I've been with Sat for 21 years this year, and like maybe 4 more added on top of that.
Yeah, I was going to say longer than that.
Yeah,
that's longer than that.
Longer than me, yeah. 25 years, the silver anniversary, mate, of like, yeah.
Silver, literally silver in my hair. I couldn't do it. And maybe because it's my kids have all grown up, we're in a comfortable, if they were like 4, 2 and 1, I don't know, maybe I'd feel differently. I don't know. I mean, I think where I am now, I'd be like, no, see you later, mate. I don't need anybody. And I don't feel like, I've seen marriages. I haven't seen anyone, don't know of anyone cheating, but I've seen people who are together for no other reason apart from their kids, and apart from just what people will say, and it's just easier to be together. And you just, I look at these people and I just think that I wouldn't do that to myself. I wouldn't carry on feeling good at how you're describing, all that's questioning, all that, I just couldn't do it. And it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. I mean, I think I would go out of my way to create an environment of my kids, it's all open and fine and amicable and all that. If I can get to that place, for the children and for, because that person, you can't, if you have
communication,
it's really difficult to cut them out of your life, right? Because they're the father of your children or whatever. But I don't think I could continue in a relationship with them. No.
I think the way I see it is, and people that I've known who have come back from these things, is like, if you are honest with yourself, and first of all, it depends on the context of what happened. Was this like a 2-year-long affair that you were lying and all this, like I checked your receipts and figured it all out, and one of those kind of things? Or, did you have a mistake? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't, or was it kind of like not just about sex? Was it an emotional thing? Like, what was it, right? Was it flirting? What was it? However, I think if you think, what, every time that person leaves this house and they leave my sight, I am thinking constantly, where are you going? Who are you seeing? I cannot trust you. And that is going to stay with you in the relationship. You can't get rid of it. That will consume you. Then that will consume you. And then you can't be in that relationship. And I think maybe it will take work to get to that point where that is not a thought that consumes you all the time, that trust, and maybe you can rebuild the trust. I don't know. If you can rebuild the trust, and then you're not thinking that all the time, then only then you can move forward in that relationship. Unless you're one of those people who, he lives here, I live there, we're in a marriage, we show up together to all the family things, we're good together, we're there for the kids, and do you do your thing, I do my thing. I know people like that as well. And that's
but
it.
then there's that too. And but I know of like couples where that happens, and like I'm in the know and the wife isn't in the know, and it seems to be that ignorance is bliss. Like I said, the man keeps her happy and he carries on doing his thing, and it's like really awkward for anybody else who's in the know when we meet that person's wife, or with a woman when we meet her boyfriend.
How horrible is that? I mean, I feel
it's a horrible position to be in, but you just like, I'd rather not get involved in the politics of somebody else's marriage, so you just like pretend you don't know anything. But there's loads of people in that position who everyone knows except for the person's partner. And it's
like you said, sometimes they do know. Sometimes
But
they do.
they turn a blind eye because everything else is okay in that relationship. But I also think, at the end of the day, like if something like that happens, whether it's a one-off or whatever it is, for me, it's like, if the partner isn't sorry, if the partner isn't like, like maybe I'd give the partner a go, like, and say, okay, well, let's trial this, let's see how it works, but I need my space. And if I, in that space, if you can't trust that person, and I've had that situation, so like at the end of the day, I need my space. I need to know that I can trust you. I don't want all your passwords to everything. The thing is, for me, I'm the kind of person I am, is I'm quite open in a relationship. Like my phone's not on lock. If my partner wants to go through my phone, they can. I don't care. They shouldn't need to. But if they did, there's nothing to find, right? So it's like, I don't have an issue, and I expect them to be the same with me. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go through their stuff. And I've never done that. I'd feel uncomfortable picking up my partner's phone because he deserves that courtesy, just like I do. But if they did, like, for me, I'm not worried. I'm not worried, and I shouldn't be worried about him either way. It should be really relaxed. And that's how I feel relationships should be. That respect is there, but also that fearlessness of, if I did do that, there's not going to be anything there. There's not going to be anything that makes me go, what? Because he tells me where he goes. If he's got female friends, I know who they are. They're my friends too. I don't mind him going out with them because I know and understand their relationship. And if I've got male friends, and I have a lot of male friends, that people understand my relationship with my male friends, and I make sure that they're friends as well, right? So for me, being that kind of person, and not a secretive person, a person who compartmentalizes my life, even with my partner, I would feel that that's totally broken me, because it's like we're open. And the other thing is, your partner's got to try, if you want to try and make it up, the partner's got to do the work to make it happen. But you also then have to, and even though you haven't done anything wrong, the thing is, you still have to put a lot of energy that you didn't need to into trying to make that work. And it's that kind of, is that battle, is it worth it or isn't it worth it? And that's for every individual to decide.
You need mediation at that point, right? Because you'd need outside help. Maybe you'd need counseling, or you'd need all sorts of, and then just, I don't know. I think I've read about, the shame people feel as well with wider family, and admitting to your friends that your husband's cheated on you and your family and stuff. It's so,
you're made to feel like you were the one that let them down, and that's why they did that, right?
Exactly.
There's a problem with
which is that wrong thing.
Yeah,
Whereas I'm totally like, do not think that at me. If you think that was okay, screw you. And I will say that to people's faces, but not many people. Lots of people wouldn't say that.
No, I'm just interested to know though, like for you guys, do you think it's worse if somebody has, like, if it's just like, oh, I had a drunken one night stand, is that worse than, maybe they didn't have sex with somebody, but it's like a meeting somebody, conversations, time spent together, like you're really loving the company of somebody and opening up to somebody else, and that emotional intimacy.
That sounds like falling in love, Rena. I mean, that is obviously
that's hurtful. Yeah, that's hurtful.
Yeah, that's worse than a drunken one night stand. I mean, it's still bad. And
both make you feel ill, to be honest.
But I was gonna say both made me feel
like,
yeah, exactly. But I don't know, maybe you can start to get your head around a drunken one night stand. But then somebody's pulling away from you on an emotional level because they feel they're not connected to you and they're looking for that somewhere else, and they found it. That is worse, definitely.
I think I can understand where somebody's like, this is going to sound, and I'm not trying to justify anything, but I can understand if somebody's not feeling the physical needs being met, that they've tried to explore it elsewhere because they feel like they didn't want to upset their partner by talking about it. And that's where I think, when we were talking earlier about, maybe it opens up a conversation and can lead to, like, I want to do this, or I want to try this, or whatever they want to do, like that kind of thing. It might be just them being scared to ask and going off and trying something elsewhere. And the other stupid stuff is, like when did you read in the article where she said some guy is like, on holiday, sometimes corporates pay for their hotel, whatever's, like their bosses will pay and say, don't worry, it's all right, it's a perk of the job
you
kind of
deserve
thing.
this. You worked really hard. You deserve this. Come on, enjoy yourself.
I was like, what the, I mean, I don't know anyone that's had that as a perk of a job, but
I can see strip clubs maybe, like, I think obviously now if you're hiring an escort, that's one step further, but I can see, oh yeah, come on boys, we've had a really hard few weeks working on this deadline, let's go to a strip club and have a lap dance and let off some steam. I'm sure that that's actually quite common, and then it's one step further to be like,
but lots of wives and girlfriends,
some escorts, boys.
But lots of wives and girlfriends know that their partner sometimes go. You can be open enough to say to your partner, we're going to a strip.
I actually don't care about stuff like that. And
lots of us wouldn't. I think between the three of us, we'd probably be a bit more relaxed as long as they're being open and honest.
Yeah. If it was
a comfortable relationship.
If you were broke as a family because your husband had an addiction to strip club and blew your literal monthly food budget on lap dances, you would be a bit like, what the hell are you? Do you know what?
I don't know about going to a strip club and having a lap dance.
I know. Even that is a bit like, but in my mind, it's like, oh, you were just there as a observer.
Yes.
Did you go to have a nice time spectating?
Do you not recall, like, when we used to be in Birmingham, there were certain places that some of the other male students used to go to and then come back and say, we're all going there.
I don't recall, but I can, yeah.
I remember the name. Do you remember
the name?
Yes,
you remember the name, yeah. I just deliberately not saying the name.
Mints and animals.
No. It was Legs 11.
Legs 11, yeah.
What was it?
Do you remember Legs 11?
Yeah, I remember hearing that name.
And a lot of them used to, like, go there and be like, oh, we're going to Legs 11 today. And we'd be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah. It was like laughable because I think at that age it was like, they felt like men going to places like that, and we'd just be like, haha, funny. Who's gonna look at you? Yeah. It was like, we felt like that, didn't we? I think.
Yeah. I think that's obviously different. I mean, some people would even be like, no, you are not going there, you're not going to look at anyone and all this kind of stuff. I you know what you said, Kirat, about the whole thing, if you're not getting the sexual intimacy at home, and then maybe you're going to go somewhere else. And I think that is a conversation for a couple to have. Like, maybe, I don't know, has it been like a decade and you haven't had sex and you're both not on the same page, and maybe somebody wants to and you don't want to, and what they're supposed to do, and you know what I mean? Like,
it's a need, isn't it?
Yeah, and is that the benefit of there being escorts in the world? I don't know. I would never. I don't think I would ever judge someone for, number one, working in the sex industry, and number two, like, it's there for a reason. And I'm not saying, oh, it's great, but I'm saying that people use the services of these people for a reason, and it could be a different, I just think it's really difficult to be judgmental about, oh, you go to prostitutes, you know what I mean? Like,
how do you feel like our mums, like that generation, like turning a blind eye? I'm not saying like our fathers did anything wrong or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, how do you feel like, our mums, I think all our mums would turn a blind eye to generally stuff like that if it had happened at one point in time in their lives. I'm not saying right now, but at one point in time in their lives, they would have kind of possibly turned a blind eye to it. And how do you feel about that?
Wouldn't have turned a blind eye to anything personally.
Okay,
but
good.
I think the generation before them, that, like my nanny's generation, they came here, their husbands had been here for some time, possibly women and kids came over afterwards. What were they doing for the 2 years? You know what I mean? It's like, you get married to have that faithfulness and stuff, but I think there was a lot of blind eye kind of thing, and it's a man, sometimes you maybe didn't even know this person, depending on, you might have got married to someone you didn't know very quickly, then they soon went off to abroad for a couple of years, still didn't see them, didn't know them, and then you came, and what were they doing? And I think there was a film that I watched ages ago called The Brothers or something. I don't know if you ever watched it. British Asian film, and it was about this thing about how there's like a house full of Puri was in the film, actually. It was a house full of male immigrants from India, Pakistan, and they came here, and some of them had wives back home. And then there was this one scene, and I was quite young watching this, and I was like, oh, I was quite repulsed by it. They hired this white prostitute who came to the house, and she was in a room and then everybody had their turns and whatever. And it was just like they were all looking forward to it and saved all their wages and all this kind of thing. And, you know, it was a thing. Like, I don't know how true that is of what happened, or I don't know. But do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just saying that I think there was a lot of turning a blind eye then. There was.
It's a lot of turning the blind eye. You know, there's lots of women talk about, I know that my husband had kids outside of, you know,
Wow.
like I remember a woman that we met, like, I think I was 25 years ago. And the girl used to be in my class, and it was afterwards that I found out that she's like, oh, we found out my dad, I've got a half sibling.
Gosh.
You know, and it's like, and it's not, and just yesterday I was at a meeting and we were talking about this kind of stuff actually. And she said, do you know, I've got a half sibling who is exactly X months younger than me.
Yeah.
And you just think, like that kind of stuff. And as a kid, you're working out what was my father doing or what was my mother, that kind of, it's like a horrible feeling, but the parents turn a blind eye.
I do know people like that in the South Asian community, Punjabi community as well, that happened, and they have siblings and outside of the marriage and that kind of thing. And even the parents, the grandparents, oh, it's okay, you married who we told you to marry.
You're the legitimate children, and they're don't worry.
They're just the randoms. Yeah, I know. Oh my God. But yes, so lots. I think this could be a full episode. There's obviously loads to talk about, and I'm sure we will come back to this topic at some point in time because it's just one of those things. I'm gonna move on now to the Sarees taking over the red carpets once again. And the reason I'm talking about this is because of an article in the Observer about firstly a new London exhibition called the Offbeat Saree, which is on at the Design Museum in London. And the whole article was also about how Dior showed off its autumn 2023 collection in Mumbai in March, and there was loads of Indian inspired garments. And also recently high profile celebs have worn saris on the red carpet. And some of them are like Zendaya, so she was at the Nita Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center opening in Mumbai last month, so she wore this custom Rahul Mishra sari, looked absolutely beautiful, stunning, loads of pictures of her in it all over the internet. Gigi Hadid wore this chicken curry sari in a jeweled blouse by two Indian designers at the same event. And then Naomi Campbell, I don't know if you saw at the Met Gala what she was wearing recently. So it was this like pink sari style gown, and she looked amazing. And she has worn saris before in the past as well and looked like absolutely stunning in all of them. And then even Cannes, so last year Deepika Padukone, she made her Cannes debut in this stripy Sabyasachi sari, and then she wore this really amazing white one for the closing of it. Had this like pearl collar. And then also the Met Gala last year, there was socialite Natasha Poonawala. She wore this gold sari. So it's kind of like, we are seeing this more on the red carpets. Now, first of all, how do you feel about the non-Asian celebs wearing saris? Is it cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation?
I never had a problem with it, even when earlier on, when I don't know, you couldn't even wear a bindi. It's like
Madonna and the bindis.
It didn't really bother me because I just thought, oh wow, look at her wearing a bindi. Yeah, it looks great, and it's about the bindi, and it's about okay. I wouldn't want if somebody's showcasing it and it's obviously in a positive light, and it's like, look, I'm wearing a sari. It's about from this Indian designer or whatever, that's all great, right? Because that's all sort of promotion, spotlight on all that kind of stuff. It's all good. If someone's wearing it, I don't know, in a negative way, yeah, obviously I wouldn't be happy with that. But I was never bothered by cultural appropriation. Just personally, you guys can be bothered by it, that's fine. But I don't personally, I ain't got the time.
It's not about having the time. I think it's not about having the time. I think that whole thing that happened in like early 2000s and the late 90s with Madonna and all that kind of stuff, and when Mendi and bindis became the craze and everyone was wearing them without understanding where they came from, what they were, it turned like the British Asian scene that's when the British Asian scene split, because suddenly Bollywood became like we are more than Bollywood, right? And I think I've spoken about this before. Suddenly everyone who was not brown thought all brown people, that is what you are. Bindis and Mendi, and we are much more than that. And it became a fashionable thing, and it changed the course of where development of the Asian arts in the UK as a UK thing was going, because it just kind of went a bit backwards. So in those kinds of situations, things are different. And I think, but what you're saying there is right. If somebody's wearing something in the right place, right time, whatever, and to recognize what it stands for, what it is, I think it's important. And I think it's important that, the West don't necessarily dictate what global fashion should look like.
Yeah.
I don't think so with Dior, we're talking about Dior, and like when they first started working on their collection, they were putting like little videos out of like work being done in India on those pieces. And I remember I'd send them, because my Masi loves doing a lot of that. My mom and her sisters, when they were younger, they used to sit and do that themselves. And I used to keep sending her clips, and she'd be like, we've done that, both kita, we've done that, both kita. She kept doing that, and I kept sending her like Dior, like, have a look, both kita, So it's like, for them, it's nothing. It's like, we've been there, done that. But it takes it just shows that we've had that. We have a like what we can call ourselves superior in certain things. We can lead the way in global something, and I think that's really, really important to recognize. And if the West can take on that, I think it's a good thing. In that sense, if we're getting the recognition as the East leading the way sometimes.
And that's why it's so nice to see people like Deepika Padukone who have rocked the sari at like an international event in Cannes, and because I think a lot of Bollywood celebs, for IFAs and things like that, a lot of them choose to wear like strapless gowns and this kind of thing, which is fine. You can wear what you want, it's fashion, have fun with it and stuff. And then you'll get like people like Rekha, who is an iconic Kanjivaram sari with everything traditional, Gajra and whatever. But I do feel like, despite this thing of like, okay, stars choosing to wear like strapless gowns instead of lehengas and saris a lot of the time, I feel like as like brown people, South Asian people, I think that our culture is still very much like alive and kicking. Like you know what I mean? We embrace everything there is to embrace about it, like the food, the fashion, the entertainment industry, the language and everything. Like I don't think it's in any danger of that going away. But what I was going to ask though is like this whole like why aren't we wearing salwar kameez and rocking them in our everyday lives? Because we don't do. Or do you?
I do. If
I'm happy doing it.
Yeah, but okay,
you're not wearing one now, are you?
Well, no, I'm not wearing one now, but I have no qualms about, if I was, I don't know, if I, during a wedding, if I have to pop into town, or I'm not one of those people. I know a lot of people who would not be seen dead at the school gates and their moms, wearing I don't know, salwar kameez and their kids are just going, no, mummy, why are you wearing that? No, my kids wouldn't do that, and they've seen me in them enough, and I wouldn't care. And normally, a lot of the time, all you get is lots of compliments. And actually, this happened to me just the other day. I was going to a wedding, completely dolled up, and needed to go to the cash point. So, walk into Asda. And then, and my dad was like, should I park up really close? And I was just like, well, yeah, because I've got these like 4-foot heels on, but I wasn't worried about the outfit.
What you look like,
what I look like. And, actually, no one's ever looked at me and gone, oh my God, what the hell are you wearing? It's always like, oh, wow, you look beautiful, or, whatever. And I love your outfit and all that. So I don't have any problems with it. I have actually pulled out some of my older saris, and I've got a sari I want to buy actually, but I wouldn't have done that a few years ago just because they're such a faff. But I like, well, they are when you've got kids hanging off you. So there was a period where I just
I can understand that, but
So now I've got my eye on a few saris for an upcoming wedding. So I'm really looking forward to rocking it again. And I also have got over the fact that I can wear saris that are proper full tied, right? I'm doing the action because I can do just do it quickly. But I also like the fact that you can just get those bad boy
Contemporary.
boots sewn in and they're just they're done.
I think it is important that we do know how to tie one still. And because this is a contemporary exhibition, right, where they've got all of this stuff, and it's not about the history of the sari and the cloth or anything. This is a contemporary exhibition, and and it's making headlines everywhere globally. It was on the news the other night. We should go. I was going to say exactly the same. We should go and have a look. Good. Yeah, and so it's really important. But at the same time,
wearing a sari on the tube.
Oh my God,
I've done that. I've done that. I don't got no issues. Like even at uni, I used to wear salwar kameez on campus, right? I didn't give a monkeys about whatever anyone's like says to me.
But I think the three of us have never done that. I know you two. I remember both wore a sari on the graduation ball.
I was gonna say that we wore. I wore the black one, my black one, the plain one. You wore the white. You wore the white one, and there was. Yeah,
I've worn a sari to balls. I think because I remember that at uni, even I went to the optics ball. I don't know what I was doing there because I wasn't doing eyeball.
I was
wearing eyeball, and wore a blue sari and thought I was like Shri Devi from Mr. India rolling around in hay or something. So I don't. I feel like we're not the ones who are like, oh no, I can't be seen. I mean, I will. In everyday life, sometimes I'll pull out a kurta or whatever. Like, I've stopped my Bharatanatyam lessons at the moment, but on Sundays when I did Bharatanatyam lessons, up until very recently, I would wear like a kurta and pajama to do it, and then I would just keep that on, and the children would be like, oh, mommy, you look so nice or whatever, So I think that it's not like it's a source of pride, and I don't know, like a lot of people don't like doing this, but I will mix things up as well. So I will be that person who will wear jumke with like jeans or like the Punjabi jutti with jeans and things like that. Like I quite like to do that.
Yeah, I went through a phase. I bought loads. There used to be a new shop that opened, which is a chain, and I bought loads of things in the sale. And I used to wear like my moje to every. Like at work with whatever, a different color pair of moje to it because they were flat, comfortable, whatever, and I had to be on my feet sometimes, and I'd wear them to work and be like, oh my God, they're quite cool. I'm like, yeah, they are, aren't they? But it's that kind of thing. But even what I find really sad, like we were talking about all of this, but being comfortable wearing what I wear. And I remember, Rummy, during your wedding period, I was wearing one day before I was in salwar kameez, stuck it on my denim jacket to go somewhere to do something. And so I've always been comfortable. And this sort of younger crowd who think they're all cool and doing all stuff like that, it's like, mate, been there, done that. You're not that cool. It's like that. Do you know what I'm saying? When they come, like, it's all right. I can pull that off now too, but we did it 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. But it's not just that. I go like when it comes to serious events. So I go a lot to like Parliament and stuff like that and whatever. And, a lot of the time there might be special events for Vaisakhi or Diwali and things like that. And I find our community will turn up there in their suits or a dress or whatever, and I will still go in a form of salwar kameez. And and it was Vaisakhi recently at Parliament, and I wore like a sharara thing, like a smart casual sharara thing, because I was like, for me, it's important. If I'm there for that reason, I have my chunni. At that point, some point, I'm gonna wear a chunni on my head, whereas everybody else is then struggling with like, oh, I didn't bring a chunni, I need a scarf, and then tying handkerchiefs around the head. It's be respectful to what you're there for, the reason you're there for it. There's nothing wrong with wearing a salwar kameez in Parliament, and I used to rock up at work in my salwar kameez as well. I didn't, it's fine.
Yeah. I really like that, and the fact that you wore that there, and I feel like sometimes there's in life and things that you go to events, you feel this inner thing of, oh, I want to represent. You know what I mean? I want to kind of embody this thing, and like, because I felt like that when I went to the royal wedding, because I was my dad's +1 basically for Harry and Meghan's wedding, and I was like, everyone was like, what are you gonna wear? What are you gonna wear? And I was just like, it's just like non-negotiable. I'm wearing a sari, obviously. Like, I don't know, like it was just like such an obvious thing. No, I'm wearing my sari. And when I went there, like I felt so good that day. So I wore like this bright pink sari with like a bright green blouse, and it had like green and mirror work on the borders and everything. And then I had like this green fascinator thing to go with it. And I just felt so good there. And I took the tube there and everything in the train. And I had so many compliments from people on that sari. And I did see some other Indian people there, and most of them were wearing like Western wear and stuff. I don't know. Like, I just feel like for me, it was the right
Right.
thing to wear on that day. Like I really, when you just feel it, you just feel like, oh, do you know what? I'm feeling like this look is just like this whole vibe. I'm loving it right now.
But when it's your own, but this is the thing, but when it's your own thing being celebrated, so we go to Parliament or you go to wherever you go, whatever industry event it is, but they're celebrating Diwali or they're celebrating Bandi Chor, or they're celebrating Vasakhi or whatever it might be, and then our own community rock up in like trousers and stuff, and it's like,
yeah, but
why?
I know, I get what you're saying.
But what I'm saying is, like, why? At the end of the day, why can't we be proud enough to even wear the right thing at the right time?
No, my own first cousins wouldn't do it. They wouldn't wear. They were like, they'd say, "Oh my God, are you going to go pick up Veed at the gates like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I'll never do that."
They wouldn't wear traditional.
So they're not gonna. Yeah, they can't get past it, and it's just like, oh, can't be bothered, mate. So, but I think people should just feel comfortable in whatever they're wearing, and look, if they're not turning up for these events in their national, in their sort of in the traditional clothes, that's fine. But the people like you're doing it, you're rocking it, you're leading the way. Somebody, 5-10 people might have looked at you and said, oh, she's wearing a salwar kameez, good for her. You know what? Next time I might do that. Or not.
Yeah, but no, that's fine. Yeah. But that's not what happens. The funny thing is when you go to these events, and this is the other thing I was going to say, is it's when your own community look back and do the opposite at you and go, she's a bit backward.
Oh, well, yeah, that was the point I was going to come to, because then they go, oh, she must be a bit like, she's not with it, because they feel like if turning up to that event, she's not with it. Okay, just judge me by my salwar kameez.
But do you see what I mean? But it's sad that our own community does that to our own community.
Yeah,
that's my point. And it's like, it makes me laugh. I've got no issues with it. I don't have issues with people wearing whatever. But when your own people, like when the people at that event who aren't Sikh or whatever, going, oh my God, it's really nice that you wore that. I should have worn it too, or worn something or made an effort too. And then your own community come back and going, oh, South Hall, Hounslow, the Kuri, whatever. That kind of, you must be a bit backward. It's like, really, mate? Just
it's crazy.
That is a little bit crazy. Yeah. No, I think it's good. And I personally think, like, I feel like my saris, I have a lot of them tell stories. Like, they're quite iconic for me in a way, like my own saris, in terms of that one that I told you about, the royal wedding one. And then I've got this green one, which is like, I wore it to compare this event for India's and Pakistan's Independence Day, which was celebrated at this event that my dad organized together. So my co-host, she wore like an orange salwar kameez to represent like the orange on the Indian flag, and I had like the green for the Pakistani flag. And you know what I mean? It's like, it was you can make a statement with things like that, and it was just such a nice, like, that memory of wearing that thing. And I've got some of my bibi saris, and that holds a special. I always talk about this.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like my mom's saris, I wear a lot of my mom's.
It's a story behind it sometimes. And, I've got this red sari that I rock out at Karwa Chauth. And when I put it on at Karwa Chauth and I was going to this Panditji's house for this puja with these other ladies, some lady, and she was actually a Muslim lady with her hijab and everything, and she knew it was Karwa Chauth. She stopped the car in the middle of the street and rolled her window down as I was getting out of my car and went, "You're looking very sundar today." And I was like,
oh,
I know. So who's sorry now? Haha.
You had to get that in there again.
I had to get that.
I loved Anita Rani sari on the coronation.
Yeah.
This is another thing. And this, I forgot to mention her. That is another thing. I loved it. She's wearing it with Doc Martens,
I love the color. Yeah. I love that Doc Marten leg kick at the end. It was good.
Yeah. And on such a, like a, such
iconic occasion.
Iconic occasion in this country. So she looked amazing. But yeah, so thank you, ladies. We have come to the end of this lunchtime live. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you have subscribed. I will say that because you just don't want to ever miss an episode. And please share this with at least 2 other people. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Sisterhood of MummyImperfect or at Rena Dianable, and check out the Mummy Imperfect Facebook page too. From us, that's all for now. Until next week. Peace out, Bernie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.